Good morning, friends. Hello. Hello, friends. Hope you're doing well this morning on this Tuesday as we begin to close out August and hope you're doing all right and that there's goodness in your day. Hey, Vicky. Good morning to you. Hi, Karen. Hello, hello. Great to see you here this morning. Hello, everybody. Good morning. Hey, Donna. How are you this morning? Hope you're grand. Have a little mug up together and enjoy this gray day. You, we're waiting for a few more folks to come around. Tomorrow, I hope you'll, if you're anywhere nearby, you will come and be part of All Church Family Night, which we gather as the whole church and have the chance to have a meal together and a little fellowship, and then and then a program. And we're gonna hear from Father Steve Rindle, runs the program that I'm going to be walking with in all of 18 days on the Camino de Santiago. The program is called Warriors on the Way, and the opportunity to do the pilgrimage to Santiago with about a dozen other combat veterans who will have kind of come and kind of approach St. James and the journey to Santiago, and about 180 miles are reckoned through the north of Spain. So that's coming up for me. But we're going to hear from Steve tomorrow night. He's going to zoom in with us, so I hope you're available to be a part of that. All right, friends, let's get going this morning. It is the 29th day of August, and it is this Tuesday at 11:11. And I'm glad that you're here and glad you're with us. Glad you're hearing my voice and know that you are loved and cared for. I wanted to, I woke up this morning. I was up early. The moon had me in its clutches, and so I went out to make coffee, and we just had just enough coffee in the tin there to be able to make one more pot. So I kind of put it in the filter, and I'm half asleep, and I'm scooping it out, and all of it. And as it would have it, I bumped the filter, and all of it went on the floor, and that was the last. So we didn't, we had to break out the espresso maker this morning. It came down to that we actually didn't have any more coffee in the house, and it just this immediate moment of starting the day with things going wrong, and the kind of what we would hope for, and how things we would hold actually kind of coming undone right out of the gates. And so and this is a part, and for me it was one of these aw shucks moments, or but there's a reality to this. There's a reality that in the simplicity and in the rhythm of our days, one of the things that I think the spiritual life invites us to, one of the things of what it is to follow this Jesus guy, is for us to immediately and to consistently and always expect none of it to work. I want you to think about it. Like, what are you doing today? Maybe maybe you're getting ready to go to work. Maybe you're getting ready to do some volunteering. Maybe you're going to do some laundry. Maybe you've got to care for the house. You got some dishes to do. Whatever. There is the distinct possibility that all of it is going to be foiled that none of it, and even in the broader ideas of what you're planning or what you're hoping for in the course of your life and your days, there is the possibility, there's the distinct possibility, there is the reality that none of it is going to work out. That just like my coffee making this morning, and the filter laying up on the floor, and a pile of dog hair, and like, well, that's, we're not gonna get that coffee this morning. In the same way, that anything we set our hand to has the potentiality, has the possibility, some of it even has the likelihood that it's just not going to work out. The idea that everything in our life, every great endeavor, and every small endeavor, everything we ever attempt to do at any given moment could be our own little Pickett's charge, where we commit the very best and the brightest of, and the highest of what we have, and for it all to just be shot to hell and come to naught. That is distinctly possible with everything in our life. Now I want you to hear the 73rd Psalm. This is the second part of the 73rd Psalm of David. So if anybody had a knack for either sabotaging himself or for things not working out, it was King David. And so hear this psalm that he writes. This is starting in verse 21. When my heart was grieved and my spirit embittered, I was senseless and ignorant. I was a brute beast before you, yet I am always with you. You hold me by my right hand. You guide me with your counsel, and afterwards you will take me into your glory. Whom have I in heaven but you? And earth has nothing I desire besides you. My flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. Those who are far from you will perish, and you destroy all who are unfaithful to you. But as for me, it is good to be near God. I have made the sovereign Lord my refuge, and I will tell of all your deeds. My flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. Friends, everything you set your hand to today could just turn to mush, could just fall apart. The flesh of your efforts, your desires to control things, your heart, even your desire to do it could just weaken and wilt and fall apart. And yet, the invitation of the psalmist is that not only is he saying that might be a possibility one day, or that we might have a bad day, or our coffee might fall on the ground, he's saying that this is going to happen. And that in this falling down, we actually get the power and the joy and the strength of God to being our strength and our heart, so that we don't have to. There's a study that came out not too long ago about from an Irish university that they looked at children, like very young children, 15 to 35 months, and they said kids 15 to 35 months, and they looked at them in different cultures and different environments, and that what they discovered is that the kids who basically grew up playing in the dirt, kids who grew up kind of surrounded by microbes, and particularly kids who were surrounded by animals, at this very young age, 15 to 35 months. Think about that across the board, their immune systems were better. their immune systems were calibrated better, that as they got older, they were able to recognize threats better, that this is actually a threat, this isn't a thing. It actually, in over a lifetime, they would discover that these people would end up with far fewer like autoimmune diseases, cardiovascular disease, all sorts of other health benefits that would happen from basically playing in the dirt and being with animals at this very, very, very young age. And there were all sorts of physical health benefits that would be required. We've become a culture that everybody's got hand sanitizer on their desk. We've become a culture that wants to keep our children clean and all dolled up. We have become a culture that that if COVID noticed anything, it's this germophobic kind of idea that the germ is going to get us, and that the germ is going to sneak up on us. But what happens is the deliberate avoidance of these forms of dirt, the deliberate avoidance of the crazy kinetic animal things in the world that could put us off balance. The deliberate avoidance of these things are not only counterproductive, but they are unhealthy for us. That actual health comes through these rolling around in the dirt every day and early on. Now that's a physical reality that they're talking about what happens in our immune systems. But I think our spiritual systems and the way in which we build our character is built, but the way in which God works with us, and the way that we're invited to work with God by inviting God in to be a part of the creation and to be co-creators with Him. That our invitation into that is at its heart right down in the dirt. It's at its heart right there with the chaos monsters, the animals of things, the things that are bringing all the microbes, bringing all the dirt, bringing all the things that, in fact, the avoidance of these things in our life, the avoidance of risk, the avoidance of trying to get things, of endeavoring to persevere in the course of a day when everything goes wrong, all of that, there are kind of in the physical way, we can think of it like being outdoors, but in our spiritual sense of being out of our zone of comfort, being off of our big fluffy couch surrounded by our hand sanitizer. Biologically, we become resistant to corruption and we become healthy when we are actually bathed in those things. Now that is, and spiritually, I would contest that it's the same thing. In the 73rd Psalm, David says, my flesh and my heart may fail. It's not an if. He says may. But even in David's life, even in the course of every life, our heart and our flesh will fail. Our ability to pull things off, whatever we have set for our day, there are things that are going to fail just by the chaos of the world. There's going to be moments when we do not live up to the person that we want to be, that our heart will in fact fail, and that all of them put us, that given the opportunity, and if we understand this right out of the gate, right at the beginning of every day, that at the beginning of every day we can look at it and we can not only know the possibility of everything going cattywampus, but we can expect that everything's going to go cattywampus, and that even in the chaos of the world, even in the dirt and the animals and the chaos, that actually God is cultivating us for our health and for our strength, because we are able to rely on Him and we are able to see His hand in its operation, and that it becomes our portion forever. That God becomes in the building of eternal things. Just like whether or not somebody gets autoimmune disease, at 50 years old later in life can be correlated in part by whether or not they played they ate a pound of dirt before they were 35 months old, or they played, they had a dog that slobbered all over them, or they kind of suck on a cow patty, whatever it was. That just in the same way that biological urge, that biological sense of rights itself within creation, so too we within God's creation are righted. We are put in right order when we don't just think like, oh, Jesus will protect me and everything will be fine and everything will go my way. And when everything goes my way, that's when God loves me. And when everything doesn't go my way, well, I clearly am a problem, and I clearly, I'm clearly not being faithful, and I'm clearly Jesus doesn't love me anymore, and clearly I need to do something to get back into the goodness of God's graces. Now, I'm a big fan of repentance. I'm not saying don't repent, but I'm saying the power of looking at each day as if we know the flesh will fail, if we know our ability to control everything is not supreme. If we look at every day as if we know our heart has a time limiter on it, on how much heartbreak and how much frustration it can take. We know this about willpower, for instance. Willpower is best analogized to a muscle, that you have so much and you can use it in the course of a day, and if the more you use it, the stronger it will get. But at the bottom line, it will fatigue. And that's why it's easier to knock stuff out in the beginning of the day. Later in the day, you're like, because the willpower muscle gets fatigued. Friends, I want you to think about what happens. I want you to think about today that the flesh and the heart will fail. That your flesh, and to expect it, to look for it, and I'm not going to say rejoice in it, but I'm going to say look for God's hand in it. That when things fall apart, when every part of your life is not going the way in which it was supposed to go, that every plan that you made is actually not working out, when you're not hitting your numbers, when things are coming apart, to really invite in the strength of God into your heart, to invite in the portion that God has for you, that in it we can see and we can know that just the way that biologically the dirt that gets slathered all over us is actually the best thing for us when we're little, that the dirt that gets all over us can sometimes, the corruption of the world, the breaking of things that we think are supposed to work well, actually can build within us the greatest and most beautiful of characters, and that God will use it to do so, should we let him. The great Simone Weil says this. She said, evil, when we are in its power, is not felt as evil, but as necessity, even as duty. That impulse to keep everything clean, that impulse to wipe it all down with hand sanitizer, that impulse to keep our whole soul clean, when we feel like it's just a necessity, or the belief that we have that we need to be the corrective in the world, and that we need to make everything out there all right and sanitized. That way in which we feel that we have even a duty to do so is more often our own fear around whether or not God really has us, God really holds us, and that God, in the midst of the failing of our flesh, our ability to control all the things, in the midst of the failing of our heart, and the ability of our very will to be able to stick it out, that even in those places, and maybe especially in those places, it is our fear that God doesn't have us there. But instead, I want to invite you today to see that it is truly as the psalmist says, that God is the strength of our heart and truly our portion forever, regardless of the evil that might overtake us, the corruption of the world that might fall down, the coffee grounds that might fall on the kitchen floor, the world that is wildly imperfect, that will continue to be wildly imperfect, the demons that run among us and will do damage and in around it, that we should not simply go around expecting everything to work out because we are beloved children of God. No, but we can look at things and know that they might fall apart, they might break down, that we need to be ready for none of it to work. And to understand at the heart of that is not our abandonment from God or not our unfaithfulness, which is what we always love to dress it up as, right? We always love to dress it up as either I'm not faithful enough and I just need to pray harder, or God has abandoned me and is teaching me a lesson, or something like that you can kind of put it in one of those camps. But I want to suggest to you that the falling down and the breaking apart and the craziness of the world is actually just the world. It's actually just how things are. Sometimes the coffee ends up on the kitchen floor. And that when that happens, what we can do is cast our heart on the Lord. We look to the strength, look to his strength, not ours. We can look to the portion that we have in it, that when it all comes undone, when all of our plans turn into Pickett's charge, and the very best that we had to offer just gets all shot to pieces, we can see it more maybe as a little bit more of rolling around in the dirt and a building of the goodness and the grace and the character within us that God has for us, that a little more of the portion that Christ has for us, and that it was never, ever, ever ours to control or to run or to master in the first place. All right, friends, this is my hope for you today. Peace and grace to you all, and we'll pick it up tomorrow with another 11:11.